Today on the chat, we talk Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 6 highlights. That's coming up right now. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the chat with Jay and Kay. I'm Jay O'Reilly, and as always, my gorgeous co-host is the lovely Miss Kay. Hey, Miss Kay.
Hey.
Okay, let's jump straight into it. We're talking about Season 6. So we left last episode with Buffy dying, and so when we first originally watched that episode, it was very traumatic. We spent the entire summer after that not sure where things were going to go. Obviously, we assumed that she was going to come back in some way, but this was again back in an era where we didn't have a lot of information about what was going to happen in Season 6. So
the internet was very basic, so it wasn't like we didn't really. I don't think it like Google was even really around. If it was we didn't know about it. Like the internet was very, very basic for us back then, so we didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. So it was a surprise to us when we first watched Season 6. But yeah, that first episode is one of my favourites because we see them do this spell to bring Buffy back. But I also love the relationship that Spike has now built up with Dawn over that time. Of taking care of her and being her champion.
Yeah.
So that's another part I love of that first episode is seeing Spike and Dawn so close.
Yeah.
And we see that Willow and Tara have moved into Buffy's house to take care of Dawn as well, but we'll get a little bit more into that because I have issues with some of those aspects of what happened there. But yeah, I love that that spell that they do, and the fact that the other guys don't know how far Willow's actually going to have to go to bring her back, and it's quite a grueling spell, the trials that she has to go through.
Willow!
No! She told me she'd be tested. This is what's supposed to happen.
Osiris, here lies the warrior of the people. Let her cross over.
Yeah. I really love the scene where they're patrolling out in the graveyard at the start too, and Willow's standing up, talking to them all telepathically and all that. It's really, really good stuff.
We can all be real.
Guys, heads up. The vampire's circling back towards you. 6 o'clock.
That was it's interesting to see how they adjusted without her. I love that whole thing, like you said, like the moving in there and the role that they all take in raising Dawn and everything. I really love just watching how they all sorted out the issues to kind of thing to keep going on without her. Really like.
However, we soon see that Sunnydale has descended into chaos, and the thugs, the demon thugs, are now running the show.
Yeah.
So Buffy's return was at a very good timing to bring back Sunnydale from the brink.
Yeah, it's not a nice thing to wake up to, I assume, crawling out of your own grave. And then having to take care of this whole mess that's been created.
And it was quite emotional for that aspect. We see her crawling out of her grave. It was really quite raw and she's still kind of foggy for that first episode there, where she's not really sure what's happening or what's going on.
Yeah, as you would be, but yeah.
But I love that scene when all the gang catch up with her and they realise that it's not the Buffy bot that they've had helping for the last few months. It's really her.
A resurrection spell worked like a magic charm. We brought you back to life, Buffy. Right where we left her.
Oh, God.
in her coffin.
So what I love too is when Dawn and Buffy are coming down the stairs, because Spike's going off his head at Dawn for running off on him, and he couldn't find her when all this like stuff's happening in Sunnydale, so he was really panicked about something happening to her. But yeah, then he sees her walking down the stairs, and he's like, "Yeah, well, it's the Buffy bot. Like I've seen it before." And he made a comment about how Willow got her fixed so quickly because they did see her in pieces on the ground.
Seen the bloody bot before? Didn't think she'd patch ups.
She's kind of, she's been through a lot with the death.
And like even that scene too, when they saw her in pieces on the ground, because you see Dawn, there's a few scenes where she was going into the Buffy bot's room in the middle of the night and hugging her and like just really kind of letting that bot comfort her in a way, like because she was, you know, so broken without her sister. So yeah, it was nice to have all those little bits mixed in quietly. I love that.
It was.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, by the second episode, you know, she's coming back to her old self slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, which is another favourite part, especially when we see Giles come back into it, because he's now moved over to England since Buffy's died. And he's back. And I love that scene where he confronts Willow.
Oh, that's
rank, arrogant amateur.
And you are lucky to be alive, you rank, arrogant amateur.
Yeah, I love it. That was so good.
And because Willow is so caught off guard by that, she's like, "What? I thought you'd be happy." Like,
I love it too when he's I can't remember what brought it on during that conversation, but he's leaving, and he said, you know, she actually kind of threatens him. In a way.
Yes, that's right, she does.
It's very weird.
Yeah, you don't want to piss me off. You know how powerful I am. You don't want to piss me off.
The magics I used are very powerful. I'm very powerful, and maybe it's not such a good idea for you to piss me off.
And that attitude, it kind of like progresses through that season, but it kind of gives you this feeling that is, because it's not her. She doesn't talk like that. She is so full of power that she has no control of, and it is kind of breaking through.
Yeah, and then we start to realise that something's not quite right with Buffy. She's not come back all, you know, right at all. Which doesn't help by the fact that then, you know, we start to see her go through money problems, and which is the part that you know, always irked me, because, like I said, you've got Willow and Tara moved in there, and yet somehow all the financial responsibility is Buffy's. Yeah. It's like, hello, you got two other grown women living there, and they're not contributing or paying any bills or anything. They're just, I don't know. Just
going to college, having a good time.
It always just kind of bothered me. I mean, I don't know.
I kind of like, as much as I do get them, this is probably going to sound horrible, and like I might even regret saying it later, but I never really understood the need for them to be doing a lot of that stuff. No. Like their futures, and Willow talked about that in like when she decided she was going to go to that college with Buffy, that she decided what she was going to do with her future, and it didn't revolve around school, it revolved around helping people, and she was a witch, and she wanted to, like, you know, evolve into that kind of thing. But it's like there was a lot of time wasted on stuff like that, where I really feel like they probably should have gotten jobs and gone out there and started helping her a bit instead of putting all that pressure on her. Like, that was really bad. I didn't like that either.
Absolutely, and it just turns, you know, for Xander's character, because he's the only responsible one out of them all now. He's got a really good job. You know, he's doing well for himself in season 6. So that's an interesting dynamic too, because, you know, in season 4 he was the only one that didn't go to college, and now he's the only one that's got a job.
Yeah, I love it when he's like walking around with, like, you know, business plans, like all his like, you know, it's really cool seeing him like that. That like was a really good part of that season. I love that.
Yeah, me too. And then we start to see Buffy become, a lot closer with Spike because she's now, not feeling this connection with her friends anymore. She turns to Spike.
Yeah.
And you see that start to get a little bit deeper. And it starts off, Buffy's just wanting to try to feel something, anything. But especially, then it starts to change because she knows that Spike has been in love with her for, a couple of years at this point. So
she is aware that she's using him, and she says it to Tara, and that it's and to him, but that it's messing her head up, using him so that she can feel something. But during that period of time when they were together, I do feel like it kind of laid the groundwork for something stronger to come in the next season, because they did start talking. Even there's a scene where they're like laying together and he just kind of turns to her and says, are we having a conversation? Like they're literally sitting there talking about redecorating her room and stuff like that. And that's like, that just shows there's more of a friendship building. Like even though they are having sex and doing all this, there is like an actual friendship building there.
Yeah, definitely. And then she feels comfortable enough to tell him that she wasn't, in fact, in a hell dimension. She was, in her words, in heaven.
But I think I was in heaven. I was torn out of there by my friends.
Yeah, and that comes to, I love that in the first episode back, where he does tell her that he knows what it's like to crawl your way out of your own grave.
Yes.
And I think that kind of starts that, because she has finally got someone who does understand what it's like to be in and out and not really have the connection that everybody else has got to being alive.
Yeah. And so it gives Spike a bit more of an in with her as well. He feels like, that they share this secret because nobody else knows that she was in heaven.
Yeah.
Or a heavenly dimension or whatever. Which then brings us to the wonderful musical. And when we first heard that season 6 was happening, we did hear about some rumors that there was going to be a musical episode, but we didn't know what it was going to be like. We didn't know when it was going to be. So I remember when this episode aired, we're like, "Oh my god, it's the musical episode! Like, is this going to be bad or is it going to be great?"
I wasn't excited about it at all. I was like, it's not my kind of thing, that kind of show. Like, I didn't want to see a musical because I thought they were going to, like, I don't know. It was such a foreign idea. It was like I was very cringed over it. I was like, I don't want to see this. I was ready to skip it.
But Joss did so well with it. Like I can't even explain in words how amazing it is. And usually with a show like this, like a show that's similar is Supernatural. They have a few episodes that are like this in genre, but they don't relate to the overall storyline of the season. They're just sort of filler episodes that are thrown in there.
Yeah.
But this was pivotal. It was like, you have to watch the musical to know what's happening on the next episode, because there's a lot of stuff that goes down in that. And it was so well done. And
the songs, it's like you get to kind of get it, like when they're singing, it's like you get a glimpse into what's going on in their head, because the things they're singing are things they actually wouldn't usually say. Like, you know what I mean? You got to see where their heads were at during that. So it was really.
And Joss wrote all these songs himself.
Yeah.
Like, that's impressive, because some of them are quite catchy. Like, they're actually really catchy songs.
Yeah, they really are.
And I rushed out and bought the soundtrack as soon as it was available.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I still can, know all the words off by heart to all those songs. It's a bit scary, but they are really cool songs.
I remember we used to sit in class sometimes with our other friends that we had, and we would just start singing them like to each other, and they used to get up and leave us because they just couldn't sense we were literally doing their heads in. I loved it. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I love that episode. That the first song that's my favourite is the Got a Theory song. I think has to be my favourite.
What can we face if we
And they're all singing.
Is like I got the mustard out.
Yeah.
Like, the mustard out is it's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
They got the mustard.
It's priceless. But yeah, I love that. Got a theory when Anya just starts breaking out. You know, it's bunnies. It must be bunnies, or maybe midgets.
Or maybe midgets.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And then Buffy throws in her line there about, you know, I've died twice, and Giles gives her a little, you know, little laugh, and it's so well done.
It's do or die. Hey, I've died twice.
Yeah, it really was.
And may I say, they've all got fairly pleasant voices.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there was a bit of digital work that went on behind the scenes, I'm sure, but, you know, fundamentally they all have decent voices, especially Giles and Spike, but they are, you know, do actually sing outside of acting.
Tara has a really nice voice.
She's got a gorgeous voice. Yeah, Willow's not terribly great, but like I said, fundamentally they're all good. And, you know, as much as I love Michelle Trachtenberg, you know, Dawn's singing isn't, you know, they didn't really give her much of an opportunity to sing.
Yeah, I kind of, and like, no hate to her, I love her to death, but I kind of felt that was done for a reason. And like, there was this part just towards the end where she's in her bedroom and she starts singing this song like, does anybody ever really notice? Does anyone really care?
And that was
like,
it.
she gets abducted, and I always laugh at that because it's like it was so like, just no, get her out of there.
Does anybody even notice? Does anybody even care?
Yeah, I wonder behind the scenes whether Joss had a full song written for that, and they recorded it, and later on at the, you know, editing room, he's like, nah, cut it after the first line.
Yeah.
But we love you, Michelle. Not all of us are singers. I you know, I wouldn't even attempt it.
No, I couldn't do any better than what she done. I'm not going on TV anytime soon, though.
So another part was we see Dawn's kleptoism start to build up. I love one of those scenes in that episode where she sees a little pendant she likes and slips into the pocket.
And like, yeah, the look around while she's done it, yeah, it was really well done.
Not half obvious, but then, and before that demon abducts her, she's going through her little stash of things, and she's built up quite a collection of magic shop paraphernalia.
Yeah, which is kind of bad, but yeah.
I love Spike's song, and, you know, before he starts singing it, he's trying to rush Buffy out the door, you know, so he doesn't have to sing to her, but you can't.
It's like you could feel it coming on, but yeah, I really
back.
love that song. That was really catchy.
Yeah, really good song, and again, you know, his vocals in it are really well done.
Let me rest in peace. Let me get some sleep. Let me take my love and bury it in a hole 6 foot deep.
Yeah. And he's
Scarily
hot.
so. Yes. And then Giles' song, I love that song that he sings about Buffy.
Yeah. I love how he kind of, like she said, you know, as long as we don't go into like some kind of fighting montage song kind of thing, and he's like, if we do, we'll just lay down until the feelings go away. But
Worried this whole session's gonna turn into some training montage from an 80s movie.
Well, if we hear any inspirational power chords, we'll just lie down until they go away.
then it clicks off, but she doesn't hear any of it. That's what I like. It is like one of those old karate movies where she's doing the montage and he's like walking past her singing. It's really good.
But yeah, then he says, you know, that he has to go. He can't play the father.
Mm.
He's holding it back in his mind. So
I could say the right words
lead you through this land. Wish I could play the father and take you by the hand.
Yeah, that's so.
I have to admit, like, that's what I was saying like earlier. You kind of get like a bit of a look into why, like, what's going on in their heads, and like for a long time, I didn't really like. I understood what he was saying when he had to was that he had to go in that, but like it shitted me. Like I really didn't like it. I didn't understand why he was so reluctant to play this father role to her. But I realised when he was singing that song, it didn't really have anything to do with that. It had to be with her growing up and becoming an adult, and he was stopping her from doing that. Like if this had happened to her, 5 years ago, kind of thing, I think he would have stepped in and done the father thing and taken care of all her problems for her. But she was older now, it wasn't like she was a baby anymore. She needed to start growing up. He couldn't just keep doing that for her forever.
No. Yeah, the last song I love is, Where Do We Go From Here? It's hilarious, especially at the end of it when Giles is getting really into it and, they're all dancing and Spike's, doing his thing, and then he snaps out and he's like, hang on a minute, bugger this, and he's out of there.
Bugger this.
When did the trial?
Yeah, he realised that the spell's been broken, so what the hell is he still doing there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
So yeah, I love all the songs and everything in there. They're really well written. I love it. But yeah, being a big Buffy, that's their ship name anyway. But Buffy and Spike fan, I really love the kiss scene at the end. I've been waiting for it for a long time, and I thought it was really well done.
It was. It was very romantic.
It really was, and it was so like the scene was very unlike them. It was very gorgeous, and just like they kind of let go of all the stuff that had been going on around them and just got lost into that little moment there, and I really loved that.
Yeah, me too.
You can make me feel. Where do we go?
And then we also see that that Tara finds out that Willow's been casting spells on us. So that opens up another can of worms that gets carried into the next episode as well.
Yeah.
Which is Tabula Rasa.
Yeah.
Which was a really, really exciting episode. It was again really well done, and another one, like how we've said, they all get to take on different characters for that episode.
Yeah.
I love it. I love all the characters that they invent for themselves, and Buffy is now Joan.
I'll name me Joan. I like it. I feel like a Joan.
And yeah,
I feel like a Joan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think I kind of like to think that had something kind of do with like a Joan of Arc kind of thing. She was like this powerful girl kind of thing, so that kind of came through in her head.
But this marks the point where Willow goes too far with her magic.
Yeah, but at the same time, there was I do understand, like she stuffed up, she made a big mistake, but I can understand them not getting too angry at her. Obviously, Tara, she had every right to be. The spell was focused to be on her, and it kind of messed up and went to the whole group.
Purge their minds of memories grim, of pains from recent slights and sins. The crystal turns black. The spell will be cast. Tabula Rasa, Tabula Rasa, Tabula Rasa.
But this wasn't the first time someone had, even the episode before. The episode was Xander. Xander cast this spell to make them all sing and be happy and everything. And what we didn't even really touch on with that is people died.
Yes.
Spontaneously combusted, and no one ever really gets into the fact that Xander is responsible for the lives being lost during the spell that he cast. So yeah, as bad as Tabula Rasa was, and I do really understand where Tara comes from. In the end, she kind of says, how could you do something to me like this after what happened with Glory? Because she'd had her mind invaded, and it was really, really. It was when she brought that point up, I was like, "Yeah, you have every right to leave. That was too far." Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, but it was a really and again, like we said in the last episode, it relates back to season 4 where Giles and Spike are on the swings together. So this is because in this version they think that they're father and son, so it was really cute.
I absolutely loved that. That was one of my favourite part of that whole episode is them two together.
No. We're not related, are we?
There is a ruggedly handsome resemblance.
And you do inspire a particular feeling of familiarity and disappointment. Older brother?
Father. Oh, God, how I must hate you.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. And like some of the things that like there's vampires come to the door and they're like, bring out Spike. And he's like, hang on, I think I know what they want. And he comes back with all these steaks. Like, give them these. It's so good. It's really funny. They have so many good jokes in that episode.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah, it has a really serious kind of undertone to it, but like they kept it so light. I love it. It's probably one of my favourites.
Absolutely, and especially at the end of that episode, because then we see Tara pack up and move out, which is very sad. But we love that song that gets played while she's being broken up with. It's that.
Yeah, that is what was at the time. That was one of my favourite songs. And that's another thing about Buffy that I always loved is the music that they had playing because, again, we didn't have the internet. Our music the music that we were getting was kind of only what we were getting off the radio, which were like pop hits kind of thing. And we didn't really get to hear any alternative music.
Yeah, but this introduced us to a whole new world of music, which was really awesome because, Joss and all the other people responsible for it really put a lot of hard work into the music and a lot of personal songs that they actually liked themselves. And Sarah McLachlan is a big part of Buffy with her music that gets played on it in numerous episodes.
Yeah, and one of my favourite singers especially when I was younger, was Amy Mann. She actually she played live on it too, and she has a little spot in it when she's leaving the Bronze and she says, I hate playing in towns with vampires.
Yeah.
She leaves. Like that's so awesome. It was so nice to be introduced to like alternative music.
That's right, yeah, and we've loved her ever since, and we wouldn't have known about her if it wasn't for Buffy.
Yeah.
So it introduced a lot of, and remember at the time how hard it was to get that album for Amy Mann because it wasn't even available in Australia. Like you had to get them to special order it from overseas, and
it took me I think about a month to get that, and that's because everything was just so different back then.
That's it. Like today, if you want an album that's not available here, you can just order it from anywhere online and download it or whatever. But you couldn't back then.
I had to go into a shop. And because even the computer systems, he wasn't like going on the net trying to find it. He went at the back and got folders. He asked me what genre of music it was, and he came at the back with the folder for M and for Amy Mann, and then he opened it up and we scrolled down. And because too, I didn't know what album I was looking for, and at the time I think she had 2 or 3, and I had to just like hope that I was getting the right album. Like it was like at the time it was so normal. Like it wasn't like the first time I had done that, but it was like I look back now and that is insane having to go through that to get a CD.
It was crazy, but we were willing to do it because it was that music was just everything.
Yeah,
and especially like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack. That first soundtrack had so many good songs on it, just unreal.
Yeah,
from Wild Horses to so many of them that I still love to this day.
Yeah. And that was the thing, we got that, and it was almost worked as a reference for me, so I could get the name of the band, and then go and get the guy to give
albums.
Just go through and then wait a month for the CDs to come in. Yeah, so that was good.
But yeah, and then we see the villains in this season. The geeks, the trio. Yeah, it kind of bored me too, and a lot of the episodes were just fill up. So but then takes me to our next part of that season that sticks out is Willow. Tara leaves and Willow completely falls off the wagon. She gets Amy. Amy is she finally figures out how to turn Amy back into a human, and she's been a rat since season 2.
Amy, how have you been?
Rat. You?
Dead.
So we have Amy back, and her and Willow go on a complete bender with magic, and then that episode where she crashes the car with Dawn in it.
What are you doing? Take that, Scuzz.
And I love how they did that with her. They it's magic, obviously, but they really kind of tapped into the real addiction side of it. They really made her out to be an addict. Her reactions to that whole thing, that was the same as someone who's addicted to, like, hard drugs. I really love how they did that. Even when she's trying to dry herself out after the car accident with Dawn and everything, you see her in her room and she is a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as someone trying to dry themselves out, and I really love how they did that. That was awesome.
Me too. And they have that really real scene with Buffy and Willow where, Buffy, slaps her across the face. And oh, no, that was Dawn, sorry, wasn't it?
Dawn slaps her, yeah.
Donnie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I didn't see. I'm so sorry. Donnie.
Yeah, and it was so powerful, it was because, by that time, the relationship that Willow had built up with Dawn was, pretty close. So this was like...
Props to Alison Hannigan for that scene, like her dropping to the ground and crying, and that whole emotional breakdown. That was so awesome. That was such a good performance.
God, I need help. Please help me. Please.
It was really good.
And then the rest of their responses was good too. It played into that drug addiction thing. Buffy and all of them, they didn't just, abandon her. They realised this was an addiction, a problem, and they stood by her as much as they could.
And she'd done so much. Like, you couldn't, what she'd done was so bad. Taking that kid with her and doing that, it was like they had to stand by each other. They really did have to. She had done so much for them. And, even getting her to do these spells over and over again, nobody ever thought about the consequences of getting her to do these things to save them, to help them move things along and get things done faster. That wasn't something someone was except for Tara, because she was a witch herself and could understand what she was tapping into. But the rest of them didn't really think about any consequences of her going down this path. And that's what I kind of like about how Buffy reacted. She was it was almost like she was a bit okay, obviously this wasn't thought through. She is to blame for what she did and the actions that she made in that, but she can't really carry that on herself. This was the lifestyle that they'd all chosen for her in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then she dries herself out, and then, it all turns on its head when Tara gets killed.
Yeah.
And on a side note to that, the one of the writers who originally wrote Tara dying in the show has come out recently and said it's one of her biggest regrets with the show is killing Tara off.
Yeah.
So that was nice to know. It's 15 years too late for poor Tara's character on the show, but
that they shouldn't have killed her. I don't like it.
But then the other thing that really pissed me off was the fact that in the opening credits, Tara was never in the opening credits except for the episode where she dies.
Yeah.
I thought that was so callous. What the fuck was that, Joss? What the fuck was that?
We're going to kill her off. And that's the same thing as not letting her establish these relationships. But the thing is, she had been in there for so long.
That pissed me off. Anya, was included in the opening credits from season 4 when she, officially joined the cast. And Tara was there from the same point. and yet she was never included as a main cast member. It would always come down the bottom of the screen. Special guest appearance, by Amber Benson, which I think is her name.
Yeah.
And that really pissed me off.
It's bullshit.
It really is bullshit.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Joss, for that. That was, seriously, that was really callous. And to have her in the credits of the last episode that she was in before they killed her was just like, are you trying to rub it in, or were you trying to pretend like she wasn't going to die? And then I don't know why they did that, but it was just
nasty.
Like
a tribute to her character, you get to be in the credits. Like it's bullshit. It is.
Yeah, so that really angered me.
Another episode that I loved, and this is definitely, like, this whole season is my favourite season. It is, like, out of all of them, it is. It's like, it's got the real dark themes. It's got all that really, like, it's like every episode was a hit. Like, even with ones that I didn't like, especially the ones with the trio in them, I admit to, like, now I fast forward over a lot of their scenes because I don't care. But even in those episodes, there were still scenes that were so good. Like, they were like, really, really deep scenes. They were like, I do think they were kind of preparing for the end of the show for the next season and everything. Yeah. But 617 and Normal again, that is one of the best things I've ever seen. I love it. And not even just how it was shot, which it was shot awesome. The writing was great and everything. The whole idea of it was so fucking cool.
It was very trippy, and it got really, that's it, close to, to her believing that this was happening. But, by the end of it, she's like, no, even if it's a delusion, I'm going with the delusion.
Yeah, and I was like, I've read a lot of reviews for that episode online because it has got so many reviews, and they are bad reviews. People did not like that episode. They didn't like how he left it kind of up to you to decide. But I love that. It's really brave. It's a really brave move to make, and you're not going to see any show. I've never seen a show do something like that, where they almost let you like think that this could all be complete crap.
I'm sorry, there's no reaction at all. I'm afraid we lost her.
This could all be literally her being insane, and I love that. I think that's one of the most coolest things I've ever seen. I love the idea of that.
It was a really well done episode. So Willow, falls off the wagon and falls off big time when Tara's killed. I love that first scene after Tara has been killed and she summons Osiris, and he's like, no, I'm sorry, you can't bring this one back. And then she screams at him, ah!
Yeah, he blows back. Like, he literally gets thrown back into wherever it is he's come from. She's got that much power behind her.
And then her eyes go black, and we realise, shit, this is not going to end well.
It is done.
Yeah. They got really good sequence with her laying back.
Because I was so angry about her being killed, I was right there with Willow on her vengeance train. I wanted her to skin every one of them alive. Like, I was not on Buffy's side when she's going, oh, don't kill Warren, God, think of your... I was like, no, you fucking do it. You do it. He just fucking murdered your girlfriend. No, you're going to slaughter him.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I felt good when she did kill Warren.
Yeah, I wish it was slower. I didn't, like, I love the whole, and his skin came off.
Bored now.
Oh my God.
It was so good. I loved it. That was one of the sickest scenes ever filmed on that show. It was so good.
Oh, yeah.
Usually they kind of, like, make things a little bit, like, I don't know, because they kept the effects so low on that show. Like, he never really strayed from where he was at the start, which I like because it makes the show consistent. But that scene, you are a bit like, oh, girl, like, ew. But, yeah, at the same time, you were like, just
Yeah,
Just do it.
and when she says that, you know, that thing, one down.
One down.
Let's
That's
get
it.
this over and done with.
Yeah, and that scene too. She walks into the hospital when they're operating on Buffy. This is a bit earlier back, obviously, in the episode, but and she pulls the bullet out.
Yeah.
Those scenes, like they do it the whole way through this season, where they kind of like scenes where I feel like in earlier seasons they would have kind of cut them a bit shorter. They kind of left them to like build you up a bit, where she's looking at the bullet and you know what she's thinking. Like this little thing just took everything away. It was like it ruined everything. And after everything that they've been through, all these apocalypses and demons and all this stuff, in the end it was just this tiny little bullet that completely ruined her life.
So small.
I love that.
It was really powerful. And I love all those scenes where she goes to the magic shop and sucks the magic out of all the books, and it's all.
That's better.
She's such a brilliant actor, but and she plays that role so well. So it was quite epic on that, and you know that's why I kept jumping from being on Willow's side to being on Buffy's side. But I have to say, most of the time I was on Willow's side in that episode. I'm like, nah, she needs to do what she needs to do. She needs to take care of business. How none of them are going to do it. Like in the previous season when we see Giles, you know, snuff out Ben.
Yeah.
You know, he admits then that that Buffy's a hero. She can't do these things. So I felt in this season as well, that was Willow's job. You know, she had to do things that Buffy couldn't do. Yeah. So I was right there with Willow for a lot of that.
I was right there with Giles when he did kill Ben. That had to be done. He said it to Ben while he was doing it. He said one day Glory's going to rise again and she's going to do this all again and she's going to have to deal with it, but she will do it, just not to kill a person. I love that he did. Like you said,
she's a hero. She's not like us, and Ben's like us.
Us. Yeah, it's one of my favourite scenes from that episode. I love that.
I love it. But then Giles comes back to town, and I love that showdown between Giles and Willow. It's just epic.
And there's no one in the world who has the power to stop me now.
I'd like to test that theory.
Because Giles, you know, being bestowed with these powers from you know his witches friends in England, but I love the scenes where she goes all badass on Giles, and you know he says, "Oh, you know, you've come back to teach me a lesson, have you?" Well, let's see about that.
Uh-oh, Daddy's home. I'm in wicked trouble now.
You have no idea. You have to stop what you're doing.
And she, I think it's during those where she throws that line back in his face that we were talking about earlier, and she said, "What did you call me again? A rank, arrogant amateur?" I love that.
Well, I've just gone pro. Shh.
You called me a rank, arrogant amateur. Well, buckle up, Rupert. 'Cause I've turned pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just brilliant. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and then she obviously sucks the energy from Giles, which was intentional.
It's a little pick-me-up.
Yes.
And then she has the grand idea to, you know, bring the whole world to an end.
Yeah.
Because she can suddenly she got connected to all these emotions and realizes that the only way to cure everybody is to kill everybody.
Yeah, I love the scene where after she takes it out of him and she can start to feel everything, and she tells him that she's like, I can feel everyone's pain, and she walks past him while he's laying on the ground, and she looks at him and she says, oh, you poor bastard.
Poor bastard, yeah.
Oh, you poor bastard. Your suffering has to end.
Oh, and I love that.
This pain has to end.
Yeah, that's really good
so
stuff.
I was still with it there. I'm like, yeah, look, you know, you've got the right idea, Willow. I think that's what has to happen.
Yeah. You're probably right, yeah.
The other part that I liked just before the final scenes is when Buffy and Dawn are down there in the crypts fighting the zombies or whatever Willow was sent upon them. Yep. And then Buffy has that realization, you know, that because throughout this season she's sort of been treating Dawn, you know, like a little kid, and she finally has that, you know, you're a woman, you know, I want to show you the world, and I don't want to keep you from the world. I want to show it to you, and I love that scene, and I love that song that gets played there. It's a Sarah McLachlan one again, and it's just beautiful. It just fits that scene so perfectly.
And it's important that we are parted.
Yeah, and I really love Xander and Willow's scene together. That was beautiful. And it's like you know, before any of this, it was her and him, and like he kind of lets you in to know a bit more. Like they have made comments in the past about how long they have actually known each other, but he really gets into it a bit more during that scene where he starts to bring her down, and I love that. I love how it was done. I love that he just keeps telling her that he loves her.
Yeah.
So if you're going to start killing everybody, you start right here. And that's what I love it, because it was like that's her everything. Like, you know, like before Terra, before Buffy, that was her little world, was the one that she had with him. I really love that. I love that it kind of, he saved the world. So I love that.
Indeed.
I love you. Love you.
Shut up!
I love you, Willow.
Yeah, it was really, really touching, and it wasn't anyone magical or special abilities that stopped that. It was just him connecting with that tiny little bit of, you know, humanity that she had left, you know.
Yeah, and because Giles can see what she's doing from where he is, and I love that he kind of looks around and says, "There, that's it. There's still a shot." Because he showed up there, Alexander showed up to Willow. So yeah, I really loved that part too.
It was really, really well done.
Yeah.
And it was, that's it. I know I've said this in nearly every episode, I think, but season 6 is my favourite season. Yeah.
No, definitely. I really do. I love it. The whole thing. You go back to like ones that we kind of like, they weren't like big episodes, but the Double Meat Palace episodes,
Ask me again why
getting
I
to
can
see her
never love
work,
you.
like the flood that happens in the basement. Like there are so many like really, it's new stuff that they didn't really deal with, and they started to introduce all these new like adult, you know, themes to it kind of thing, which they didn't really address in the older seasons, and I think that's why I loved this season so much. It was just so good. It was so much more real. I really, really enjoyed it.
And the other thing that we should mention about the final scene of that episode is back on Spike, because he's now doing these trials to get his soul back, which is, you know, quite amazing, because, you know, he doesn't have a soul. He's evil by nature as a vampire. He's in love with Buffy, and he tries to rape her. Yeah. And, you know, we have that powerful scene where she, you know, tells him, you know, ask me again why I could never love you, because she can't trust him, because he doesn't have a soul.
I'm gonna make you feel it.
Stop! Ask me again why I could never love you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is too, it's like that's brought up again, and it's, you go back through the show and you do get to see them kind of talk about this a lot, with how they describe what a vampire is. Because there are people who want to be vampires, and it's explained a lot the same way over and over again, that that's not them. there's a bit of you in there, but the thing that takes over you, that's in control.
Yeah.
You don't get to keep going on. When you become a vampire, once your soul's gone, you're not you anymore. Like, there is, like, some fundamental stuff there, but mostly you are just this demon.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
I do that.
And I love how he has that realization that the only way Buffy's ever going to take him seriously about him loving her is by getting his soul back.
Yeah. Well, he's a monster to her, and that's all that he is to her. It's just a monster.
Yes, I love that final scene where, he's passed all the trials and, and the demon, tells him. Because he originally goes there to...
wants the chip out.
Yeah. And then, that says, I'm not going to do that. I am going to return your soul.
Make me what I was, so Buffy can get what she deserves.
Very well. We will return your soul.
I don't know what that scene. I've watched that so many times because he kind of like the demon says to him, "I'm going to give you what you want.
Yeah,
I'm going to restore you." But like, I don't know if there was like, it's like he could the demon himself could see beyond this, like, because he's evil, like Spike. He's bad. He's a demon. Yeah. But I wonder if there was like this thing in the back of him that the demon could see, saying like, "Put this back. Don't make me so I can hurt her. I don't want to," you know what I mean? Like, it was such a weird scene. I watched that over and over again, trying to really understand why that happened.
Yeah, it was his. That's what he desired. That said, he was going to get what he desired, and that was what he ultimately really wanted deep down.
Yeah, it's like that, him wanting to hurt her or fight her, that was just surface stuff, I think. And beyond that, I do think he wanted to be the kind of man or just a being that would never do something like that to her. Yeah. But that might be me because I ship them so much. I really love their relationship that I like to think that there's a lot more going on. But I did find that scene so weird. I've watched it. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched that trying to understand what happened there. But yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's it. And that's what cements Spike as one of my favourite characters, because unlike Angel, who has a soul, it was cursed upon him. But Spike, that's it. He
fought for it.
He fought for it, yeah. He earned it, whereas it was cursed upon Angel, where that's it. So, loved it.
We talked about it in earlier seasons, like, Angel without a soul is horrifying. Like, him without a soul is completely terrifying. The things that he does, he is a sadistic lunatic.
Yeah. But Spike on the other hand,
look, he tried to rape her, and that is so horrible. And that, but before that, he was fighting with them.
Yeah,
even with like, he didn't have to do it. Chip or no chip, he didn't have to do it. Like,
no, he may have used the excuse that he was just doing it because demons are the only thing with a chip in his head that he could kill, and he liked to kill. So, but it wasn't. He genuinely wanted to be good.
Yeah,
even though he didn't have a soul.
And like, that goes back to the start of this season we were talking about with Dawn and him. He didn't have to do any of that.
No, he didn't have a soul. That's right.
That's it. And that guilt that he had, I do think that kind of came from something else. Like, that was so like beautiful how he was with her. He says it to her when she comes back. He said, "I couldn't save you then or her, but I saved you every night after that." And I really love that scene too, because it's like Dawn is a part of Buffy. They made her from her. And it's like he did save Buffy every night after that. Not her specifically, but that part of her that got made. And I really love those bits. I love him with her. Like, that whole thing was so nice.
It's so sweet.
It gets really deep in next season, what we'll talk about in the next episode. But yeah, him with a soul is so tragic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think, like, we'll get into that more, but in the next episode. But you look at Angel and what Angel had to go through with, he got his soul back. As bad as he was and the horrible things that he'd done, Spike has a couple of 100 years on him. You know what I mean? Like, this is a longer period. There is so much more that he done in that time, and you can kind of understand, not just with what happens with the first evil that comes back, but he was always going to react badly to this thing getting put back inside of him, because he had been going at it for a lot longer. His kill list was a lot bigger than what Angel's was.
That's right, yeah, because Angel had already been cursed with his soul for nearly 100 years or so, and at that point, whereas Spike had been evil the entire time, up until, you know, a few years ago. But, yep, so that's where we'll leave it for today. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about Season 7, the final season of Buffy. And then we wait the reboot. Yep. That's the show for today. Thank you for watching. And as always, big thank you to Miss Kay. You can find the links to her YouTube channel, Gracefullmess, in the description below, and links to her Instagram page and Etsy store. If you enjoyed our show, please like and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And we're done. Bye.